Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Tony and Grammy Award winner Leslie Odom Jr. is returning to Broadway this September as Purlie Victorious in Ossie Davis's landmark play, directed by Kenny Leon. And I caught up with the company here at the Star Child rooftop in the Pavilion during a break in rehearsal. Welcome home to Broadway. How does it feel, my friend?
It feels incredible, mainly because in this second year after Broadway's longest shutdown ever, in the year 2 AC, that I get to be a part of bringing this piece back to its rightful home. I was thinking about even Broadway and what Broadway means, and of course, there's a lot of great theater happening all around the country and all around the world. And so I was just thinking what Broadway means, and uh, it's not that any of us deserve Broadway. It's really that Ossie Davis deserves Broadway. This tremendous piece of American literature deserves to come to life on the Music Box Theater stage every night.
The importance of this play and this role to you personally, stepping into the role of Purlie Victorious.
I remember how I started my career as a replacement. I stepped into Rent on Broadway, and I was very aware that that it was Rodney, and then Daryl, and then me. That I was a part of it, and that there would be people after me. And I was so grateful to the original company every day, because it felt like they left us some magic in the theater.
Yeah.
They were still there even though they weren't there. And I was aware of that. I think most of us were on the original company of Hamilton.
Yeah.
That I knew that I was the first in a long list of guys that was going to have this dressing room, that was going to know what it was like to move around in these shoes. And so, anyway, to pick up where Mr. Davis left off, to be a part of this fraternity now, it's just deeply meaningful. It's not unlike opera singers, that like if you're I don't know, now I'm gonna be out of my depth, but if you're a tenor or if you're a mezzo, you need to do Don Quixote, you need to do Aida, you need to play these roles. And Purlie Victorious, for a black actor, it's one of those parts.
Ossie Davis was not a minister, he's not a politician, but he just knew that the country was going in a direction that he saw we could do better. And he said, my contribution will be my artistry, my humor, and I'm thinking that today people will also be able to see that, and be able to laugh. Go into a dark room in the theater, sit next to someone you would normally do and have a good time.
The way that this play dives into the absurdity of the social and racial structures of this America is so brilliant, because, what do you pay attention to? The nuances of truth. What is your laughter actually activated by? And what is the history of this America, really and truly? And the fact that I think it ties into a whole other conversation of the history being ripped from the schooling systems all around the country, and we need to know our history.
Yeah.
Well, right now I think it's needed because segregation is rearing its ugly head again. And I think that when everybody can come and see the opposing sides, because I think the beauty of this play is everybody is sincere in what they do and say. Old Captain really thinks it's okay to be who he is. And we have a lot of people like that. And it is okay to be who you are. But when you open up and you can see an opposing side, I think people will go like, do I look silly like that? Is that me? And I love what Eleanor Roosevelt said when she saw it, that it's a broad comedy, you can make fun of the segregation aspect, but not the people involved in it. Because, like now, we're so quick to judge other people about their beliefs. That's what they really believe. So we got to find that common ground where I can accept you as you are for the human that you are, but maybe you can open up and see my side too.
Ozzy was ahead of his time. He wrote this in '61 when he was getting ready to go on for Sidney Poitier and Raising in the Sun, which was the first black drama on Broadway. And he couldn't write about the pain anymore, so he said, I'll have to make it funny. So he wrote Purlie Victorious. And then flash forward years later, 50 years later, when I'm directing my first Broadway show, A Raisin in the Sun, and then I invite Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee to be a part of my rehearsal, and they give me notes on the play and all that. So they did, and so we formed a bond there. So now, the fact that the Davis family now gives me the honor and the responsibility of delivering that play 62 years later to new audiences today. Oh man, I accept that honor, and I'm excited by it. And every day I approach it with the beauty of the memories of Ossie Davis and his wife Ruby Dee.
Well, Mom told us. She told us that this was going to be a long fight, that we shouldn't rest on our laurels, that we shouldn't get excited when things get too great or too bad. Just walk that middle line and stay in the line of march. So we get it. We understand.
And we've been standing on people's shoulders.
Yeah.
And we have to be prepared for others to stand, for them to stand on our shoulders. So it has been a long haul, centuries long.
Yes.
Centuries.
Yes.
This play indicates the meaning and purpose of the United States Constitution. And because when the Constitution was created, it was not made very clear whether black folks were people or slaves or three-fifths of people, a whole civil war had to get fought. And then 100 more years before this play came along. So this play, through humor, points out that we have rights, that we are Americans, and we belong here.
What do you hope audiences take away from this?
I hope that people, laugh and have a good time, but they're able to ask themselves questions when they leave and say, okay, yeah, I laughed at that, but why? What was happening? And, what am I being asked to consider? Yeah, and hopefully it opens up conversation, not just within your own friend group, and that they encourage people to come and see it. Come and see Purlie Victorious.